My fellow Americans.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
He says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that.
Blaze through like
the chariots of fire, like the chariots of the gods.
We'll get to the chariots of the gods. We'll blaze through World War III. I feel like World War III wasn't too bad this month.
This month ended up being all about Trump and Epstein.
Yeah, that's really what it was. There was still like Russia and like Ukraine and stuff was still happening, but that's what it was.
It's really just shit that like his side was ignoring, because it's like nothing he ever like disproved. There was just people who were willing to just ignore it and literally like talk shit about it like that. You think that fucking matters? And they'll like say their own bullshit. Finally, not only do people who hate Donald Trump and are like very passionate liberals, but like just the average person is thinking, wait, Donald Trump was like best friends with Epstein, and he keeps saying and doing all this weird shit around this. Like, this is really fucking weird. It's the reignition of the Epstein vengeance flame is my favorite thing to happen this year.
Yeah, me too. So far, this has been the best thing.
It's like, yeah, a fucking literal supervillain was caught, and then is actually probably still alive and free somewhere after he was body doubled out, which is like probably the easiest thing for them to do, given all the circumstances that they allowed to happen based around it. This guy's fucking alive. He's out there cackling while drinking some shitty cocktail.
Cackling while drinking some shitty cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think, we're definitely knocking on some weird territory there.
I'm just so happy that people are like, yeah, once they start to think about it, they're like, wow, that fucking crazy thing actually turned out to be true. Then conspiracy-minded people, or the people who like look for this shit, that's going to become more and more the norm. It already feels like it's the norm, but it's going to be truly the norm, where like the average person thinks like, wow, I mean, there's a whole lot that they don't tell us, and honestly, it could all be a lie. It could all be this. Like, that's going to be more common. And yeah, man, it's a good day to be an American,
Yeah, that's true. It's wild though, because it's funny. A lot of people thought that the Pizzagate thing was just like we talked about this before. They thought it was just like a right-wing conspiracy, but no, there's a lot of things that implicate both sides and stuff like that and stuff like this. It's not a right versus left thing, and people just aren't understanding that. And once people realize that everybody's kind of, there's other people pulling the strings behind the scenes, then they'll figure out that shit like this is going to happen, and we just need to hold people accountable.
Do you think that like Donald Trump reacted too soon to this? Because like he just truly just could react like instinctively, like couldn't help it, like just go freak out about it.
Yeah, so we should say where we're at with this whole thing.
They could have probably pulled off a better lie about this.
Most definitely. So as of right now, I've been paying like pretty close attention to this whole thing up until this weekend. I've kind of like had a little bit of a break, but from this point, what I can understand is that Todd Blanche, that's Trump's old lawyer, he's basically went to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell for like a couple days in order to get like her story and her testimony. And Trump went to Scotland, where he was asked about like Epstein, and then went on like a tirade about how he hates windmills and shit. It was kind of it was fascinating to watch. He went and met the leader of Scotland, but he played some golf. It was a good weekend for Trump, but he got bombarded with all these nonsensical questions about Epstein. At least that's, in his mind.
Yeah, we're not talking hard truths right now.
I was just going to say, I almost flew into hard truths there. All right, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves too with Epstein,
Our great president,
our great president.
the great President Trump.
But yeah, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves though. Let's get into the World War III
Ahead of
stuff real quick.
yourself.
But we will say, as of right now, Ghislaine Maxwell hasn't received a pardon.
I'm on the fucking pulse.
I'm on the pulse. But it does seem like Ghislaine Maxwell is probably going to get a Ghislaine. She's probably going to get a pardon.
What? No. I think I just saw something that said that she's going to be like denied immunity. But I guess a pardon could still happen, but I think it might be moving the other way.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
On our road to World War III, we have Ukraine kills top Russian Navy commander who Putin just promoted. We had kind of a series of, I guess, deaths at the beginning of this month that were Ukraine retaliations and stuff like that. The Pentagon's freeze of U.S. arms transfers to Ukraine takes U.S. EU officials, Trump's allies, by surprise. Syria demands 1/3 of Golan Heights or Lebanon's Tripoli in exchange for peace with Israel. North Korea to reinforce Moscow with 30,000 troops, officials say. Trump says he didn't make any progress with Putin following phone call. Canada transfers U.S. $1.7 billion in revenues from frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. Major Russian gas pipeline explodes near Vladivostok. Russia reacts to Trump saying he threatened to bomb Moscow. Ukraine catches Chinese spies trying to steal secrets of missiles that sank Russia's flagship. New evidence suggests Russian forces shot down Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243. Ukraine to receive hundreds of thousands of drones in U.S. deal, Zelensky says. Donald Trump threatens Russia tariffs as relationship with Putin worsens. That's another thing, is they're putting tariffs on Russia, and they're putting secondary tariffs on anybody who deals with Russia too. Iran has placed a $40 million bounty on President Trump. Trump's 30% tariffs on Europe would effectively knock out transatlantic trade, says EU trade chief. And Russia rejects Trump's demand for a Ukraine war ceasefire in 50 days as unacceptable. All right, so that's pretty much all the World War III stuff. It's been a slow month for World War III stuff. It wasn't that tense. It was more of just a lot of personal stuff. Kind of like a calm before the storm, I guess. We'll see what happens. So this is Living in America. U.S. citizen sues ICE for $1 million after violent arrest for recording Home Depot raid. ICE handcuffs 71-year-old grandmother, a U.S. citizen, at San Diego Immigration Court. Detained immigrants at Alligator Alcatraz said there are worms in food and wastewater on the floor. And 1 in 3 teens have pre-diabetes, new CDC data shows. U.S. military to remove 2,000 National Guard troops from Los Angeles. So there's a good one at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should have never happened. Here's some normal-ish news. Jeff Bezos backed $88 million methane satellite missing in space somehow. The U.S. to dump billions of flies over Mexico in $30 million fight against flesh-eating maggots.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a crazy one.
Flesh-eating maggots are taking over the world?
Well, apparently they're taking over Mexico. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I guess the U.S. is trying to fight them like some kind of zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, let's get a jump on.
Let's get a jump on this. Cancer rates in Australians under 50 are rising at a pace that's alarming, doctors and scientists say. Astronomers witnessed the birth of a planetary system for the first time. Congress moves to reject bulk of White House proposed NASA cuts. Linda Yaccarino to step down as CEO of X. Now let's real quick talk about why she might have stepped down as CEO of X. So
break it down for me.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a thing that happened this month, and it was Grok. This was at the very beginning of the month. Grok decided to start, calling itself Mecha Hitler, and started ramping up
What?
Yeah, you remember this?
It started calling itself Mecha Hitler?
Yeah, and it started ramping up like
I haven't been following the Grok Odyssey.
Oh, this was like a big thing at the beginning of this month. They Grok started like calling himself Mecha Hitler and started saying that Hitler was a great leader and all this other like crazy shit. It was just like going off on like tangents and saying all this racist shit. They had to like fix it because a lot of the Grok posts were going around. One of the people asked Grok, "Hey Grok, who are the most likely people to get pregnant next by Elon Musk?" And at the top of the list was Linda Yaccarino, who was the CEO of X at the time. And she stepped down like 2 days after this like became like a huge thing and a viral meme.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like this became like a huge thing and they had to pull Grok and like rework it. And one of the things that was funny is like every time that you'd ask Grok where Elon Musk was or like how Elon Musk knew Epstein, Grok had like a prepared statement that sounded like it was exactly from Elon Musk, down to the fact that it said, I was nowhere near Jeffrey Epstein. I only visited him for 30 minutes. And it was Grok saying that, but it wasn't Grok saying that as Elon Musk. It was just Grok saying that because
Maybe
Elon Musk
Grok is
probably
supposed to
fed it
be like
into
an
it.
AI version of Elon.
Well, pretty much. That's why he kept like spouting off about like Mecha Hitler and shit like that. Crazy shit that like happened. And now she stepped down as CEO of X, and I'd like to think that's probably one of the reasons why. I mean, we definitely know it has to do with Grok, but I think it has to do with that pregnancy thing too. Here we go. Fauja Singh, world's oldest marathon runner, dies at 114 in hit and run. That sucks. That's some really awful, depressing news.
Yeah. Long life, though, huh?
Yeah, he did live a long life. It's crazy though that he died in a hit and run. Like out of all things like to happen to him, like you know what I mean? The dude like lived this long life and then just like boom, out of nowhere. Fungi could be conscious. That's a cool one. China's robots generate more football excitement than their human counterparts. So I guess the Chinese robots are playing football and they're making everybody happy. And people are liking it more than human football. I mean, that would make sense. I kind of want to know what like robot football looks like. This random dad who's like wicked, like wicked, like anti woke and like shit like that, decided to move his family to Russia, and then he ended up getting sent to a war zone afterwards. And yeah, I guess they found underneath the Denver Museum, they found a dinosaur bone in its parking lot, which is kind of ironic, really, if you think about it. But you were bound to find a bone in some, under some museum. Hundreds of Amazon packages mistakenly shipped to a woman's home over a year. It's been hell. The culling of infected cows leads to shortened 19th stage of Tour de France. Wow. German heiress accused of ordering alleged ex-Mossad agent to kidnap her 2 kids. That one probably should have been under the conspiracy one, but we're almost there. Bear-sized giant beavers once roamed North America, and now they're official state fossil of Minnesota. That's cool. The merger of 2 massive black holes in one for the record books. The event resulted in a new black hole with a mass 225 times that larger than our sun. So now we're going to get into the conspiracy headlines of the month. We kind of did an episode last week on the Ghislaine Maxwell, or last week. We kind of did an episode, the last episode about like Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein and stuff like that. So listen kind of to get up to date with that. But here's the conspiracy headlines. Tech firm suggested placing trackers under offender's skin at meeting with Justice Secretary. Air Force, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's like going another level. That's getting back. Remember we used to talk a lot about the cyberpunk?
Yep.
That's getting into cyberpunk shit right there.
Yep.
That's like crazy cyberpunk.
Kind of cool, but I disagree with it. You know what I mean?
I disagree. I disagree too. Let's not chip people against their will.
Yeah. Unless they agree to it. What if they're like, if you agree to this, we'll give you this, like, you get to only have like half your sentence. You get to go out like twice as early, but you just have to be chipped.
Why? I would want to make sure it's de-chipped by the end. Like I have no chip. Like I have it taken out of me.
You serve your sentence. like you serve half the sentence you would have gotten, and then the second half, that's how long you have the chip in you while you're out and about, so they can still kind of like keep tabs on you, make sure you're gonna be good this time.
I kind of don't like that, but I get that. Like, I get how
Isn't that realistic though?
that is super realistic. And that's probably what they're gonna do. Like, eventually, they're gonna have to chip people, or they're gonna start doing. They're not gonna have to. They're gonna start doing this shit. It's really just gonna be like that. People are probably gonna get reduced sentences. We're gonna give Ghislaine Maxwell 20 years of like having a chip in her, where she'll be able to go and do whatever.
Yeah, she's gonna be chipped, and she's gonna be like not worried at all because she's like with the gang that runs the chips.
She's with the gang that runs the chips.
She's with the house.
And the house always wins. Air Force confirms drone swarms over Wright-Patterson. Well, hold on. Before we get into any more headlines, let's just agree. We got to stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. You know, the guy's been dead for years. We can't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Air Force confirms drone swarms over Wright-Patterson AFB led to Air Force airspace shutdown. Videos and reports released. Whoa. Anyways, like I said, we gotta stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
What if
we can't keep talking about
Hear
him.
me out. Hear me out.
Yep.
Ghislaine, she's like the main character of the real life Suicide Squad. And she's like the last one that's being added to the squad. Jeff Epp is already there. You know what I mean? Jeff Epp's the Joker. They think they can control the Joker, and they're like making a big mistake. And she's like Harley Quinn.
Let's think real quick of who the Suicide Squad would be. We got Harley Quinn as or Ghislaine Maxwell as Harley Quinn.
Yep.
I don't know. This sounds
wait, what's the guy who assassinated the CEO?
Oh, Luigi.
He's Deadshot.
Luigi is Deadshot.
What else?
Jesus. The guy, the Tesla, I guess, would be
He's definitely dead.
He's Slipknot
That
because
guy's dead.
he dies instantly.
I can go with that.
Yep.
Or he's the I forgot his name. The skull face guy from the first movie.
Oh, Diablo.
Because he like bursts into flames.
He bursts into flames. Yo. That was fucking great.
Thank you.
That was fucking glorious. Because he burst into flame. All right. But we got to stop talking about Epstein, though. Anyways, the next headline. Republicans block release of Epstein files. Not surprising. Trump asked if he's in Epstein files. His response immediately goes viral. I mean, he's been asked like 100 times over the past month if he's in the Epstein files. And every time he does it, he implicates himself more and more. Like he doesn't know how, it's like he doesn't know how to handle the question more as he gets it. It's like he loses like grip on it more and more as it happens. And it's amazing. At first, he was talking about how the Epstein files didn't exist. Then he goes and he talks about how they do exist, but they're like all Obama era stuff. When this guy was arrested and was being like watched by all the powers that long before Obama was ever in power or anything. So it almost doesn't make any sense that he would say all this. Then he goes and he says that the Epstein files do exist and that not only he's in them, but all these other people in them. This is kind of where we're at now. Well, actually, this is right before where we're at now.
Yeah.
The Epstein files do exist, and he wants to uncover them, and he wants to like maybe give Ghislaine Maxwell like a voice, and he hasn't thought about listening to her yet, but he's thinking about it. And then now to this past week when everything kind of the shit hit the fan, he's saying I've sent my ex-lawyer down to meet up with her to get her testimony, and they had like a 9-hour testimony or something like that, or like meeting over the course of 3 days. So probably like 3-hour testimonies over the course of 3 days, every day. But it's kind of crazy. It's like, Trump sending his lawyer, the guy that defended him, to go interview the person that could possibly implicate him in any wrongdoing. So it's kind of like makes you think like, is this all just a dog and pony show? Is this all just for show and and nothing's gonna happen because all this stupid shit that's happening? But who knows?
Well, they're probably just gonna have all these people kill themselves in prison and then body double them out so that they can overthrow countries in the Middle East and South America.
Well, let me ask you, realistically, do you think like these people like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and all of them are going to get prosecuted for like Epstein related shit? Do you think like we're going to get like the list revealed and even if it doesn't have like Trump on it or Trump isn't implicated in anything, do you think like he's going to use it to his advantage to like to go against like all these other people like the Democrats and stuff like that and people that are also implicated? Because that's what a lot of people are saying, is that he's going to use it as a political tool now, which would be kind of, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad about that because it would still work. It would still like, we would still be getting a lot of the sickos out of power. But like everyone would know that Trump is implicated and Trump is and was buddies with Epstein. So everybody would know regardless of what happens. You know what I mean? But I think at a certain point though, Trump doing nothing is actually probably the worst thing that he could possibly do, is not give people anything. Because if he completely seals it shut, I think that his followers, like if he at least gives his base like some of the people that they hate, then they'll, I think, give him a little bit of like more room. Like at this point, he was saying that he wasn't going to release the Epstein files, and that's what his followers hated the most, is they wanted him to release the Epstein files, which is hilarious because he was in them. But
Yeah,
they really, really thought that he was going to do something with that. And that
it was literally just people, they're just ignoring it. Like, they're just ignoring the facts.
100%.
They're saying, no, he could, there's no way. Like, that's crazy. They steered clear of all the QAnon stuff for a while now because he's in power. Like, he had it now. They don't really need QAnon. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now they can step aside from that and then look at the real shit that's like crazy conspiracy, fucked up stuff that's happening in power, and it's him. Like,
yeah.
We weren't like that. But it's so recent. They can't do that.
Well, the issue with a lot of people is that a lot of people like think that they're very open-minded, but then what they do is they'll settle into like a certain lane. And even if they like are open-minded in that lane, they're still in a certain kind of lane.
Yeah, they're in Gill lane.
It's kind of like none of his followers, the ones that believe that, would think like, oh, why would this guy ever implicate himself in anything? He wouldn't. Even though Trump does that all the time, he double speaks. He'll say two things. This is a thing Trump does a lot. He'll accuse the people that he's going against of doing the thing that he's actually going to do, whether it's like raising taxes or doing this or that or cutting Medicaid or Medicare or whatever. He'll accuse the Democrats or the Republicans or whoever he's going up against of doing the exact thing that he was or is going to do. He does that constantly. I could probably, anybody that wants to say it doesn't happen, I'll gladly pull up a montage of him doing that, because he does that all the time. And occasionally he does that in the opposite way. He takes credit for amazing things that other people think of. And he'll say, you know what, I did this and I was the only reason why this happened.
Yeah.
When other people wanted to do the same thing, which was a good thing. But hey, it happens. But yeah, I think got a little lost in the weeds there, but
No, keep going.
well, I think as of right now, we're at the point where Jelaine might get a pardon and all of this crazy shit might go down. I don't know. It's one of those things where we're all kind of waiting on the edge of our seat to see where this shapes up. And who knows, maybe next in the August news, we'll have a different story for you. I'm sure we'll probably all find out before the next news story about how this shakes out. And if we don't, it's just going to be like a movie, and we're just going to have to keep watching and waiting and seeing how it goes, because it's going to be a real crazy, crazy thing. I think also Trump rejected Ghislaine's appeal or whatever too, which was kind of funny. But crazy stuff. Ghislaine Maxwell lawyers suggest possibility of presidential pardon as Trump says it's not the time, as it happened. And Donald Trump's name reported to feature in the Department of Justice files about Jeffrey Epstein. And here's the thing, he was told apparently 2 months ago that he was in the files by Pam Bondi. She told him, I guess, 2 months ago that he was in the files. So he's known for the past 2 months. So if you think about it, when he first started really panicking hardcore was July. We should see how he reacted to the Epstein files in June. That would be really funny. Now on to some more conspiracy news. Area 51 staff left with fatal diseases after guarding top secret project. Wow. Full panic mode. New report confirms Trump-related Epstein cover-up at FBI. So that's another thing, is apparently the FBI might have been helping cover up the Epstein files. And also Trump suing the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch over reporting on the letter.
The letter.
Yeah, the letter. I should also throw out there for for fairness and posterity that that Bill Clinton apparently also sent Epstein a letter. It was a little bit shorter, but it was also a little heartwarming too. This is the finality of the movie that we're all watching, and it's just getting crazier and crazier. And who knows if this is going to lead to anything or nothing, or if this is just, everything that we've been talking about with Project Bluebeam. But yeah, possibly hostile alien threat detected in unknown interstellar object. Fun. And a rare interstellar object the size of Manhattan could be an alien probe, Harvard scientists say. That's crazy. Now, apparently, the Harvard scientist is a little bit of an eccentric guy, but he seems pretty cool to me. I was reading up about him a little bit. UFO watchers panic after massive fire breaks out near Area 51. We talked about that previously. That's pretty crazy shit too.
Yeah.
Like, why? And it broke out near the Grand Canyon too. And I just found out recently that they they either found like a uranium deposit over there, or they started mining. I'm just wondering if those two things are connected,
That and the other thing you said about the people who got injured.
Oh yeah, this top secret project. You want to read that one real quick?
Sure.
Let's see about that. Area 51 staff left with fatal diseases after guarding top secret project. Security guards at Nevada Test and Training Range noted secretive Area 51 were handed a death sentence by the government due to the presence of an invisible killer on site, they have said. The NTTR was built in the 70s on land found to be contaminated with radiation due to years of nuclear testing. However, veterans who survived the ordeal have not been offered medical care by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. They have not been able to prove they were exposed to radiation. The former Air Force Sergeant David Crete, who worked at the NTTR between 83 and 87, said the left side of his brain was dying due to atrophy. He told the House Veterans Affairs Committee he was one of the luckier ones. As of 490 of his co-workers have died of severe illness since serving at the former nuclear site. And Sergeant Crete said that an airman had lost his life at 33 after serving in the unit, and that his fellow servicemen had lived to an average age of 65. So, you know what that makes me think of? Do you remember the 4chan guy that I always bring up?
Yeah.
He had liver cancer, and he said that was like part of the reason why he was coming clean about everything.
Yeah.
So maybe they do like a really shitty job of like taking care of their people, and like maybe a few of them slip through the cracks of getting pissed about how badly they're treated afterwards, working on all these crazy things.
Could be the case.
And apparently there were also health hazards for the other people too. Like apparently it would cause like miscarriages. This guy goes, all 4 of my children were born with birth defects or significant health problems. God. It's not their fault. I'm not saying it's mine, but I brought it home. The veteran Pomp Braswell said working at the base at a young age felt very special as his mother knew absolute zero about the nature of his activities. 2 Congress bills have been introduced to provide more to the NTTR Veterans to Protect Act. A previous bill was signed by then President Bill Clinton in 2000 to provide compensation for veterans who had worked at certain government sites, but Sergeant Crete said that the only acknowledgement of his service came from late U.S. Senator John McCain, who told him that his unit ended the Cold War. Metro has approached the U.S. Air Force for comment. That's crazy, and you got to give props to John McCain for that. I don't like John McCain almost whatsoever, but that was one thing that I will say was a respectful thing. There's other things about him that were okay too, but I guess I don't feel like going there today.
Yeah, chill out, dude.
Chill out, dude. All right, so now we're going into our weird shit category. This is the one that I like reading a lot of the stuff, so you hear one that you want to read, let me know. First on the list, kind of quaint, Sweden bans OnlyFans content.
About damn time.
It's about damn time. Those Swedes are on another level, I guess, over there. I went to IKEA today, actually, and, ate some of their food. It was good. Those Swedes know how to cook. Anyways.
Wait, do they have food at IKEA?
Yeah, they serve food at IKEA, dude. You didn't know that?
No.
They have, like, Swedish meatballs. That's what they're famous at IKEA for. Their furniture and their Swedish meatballs. True story.
Weird, right?
It's not, so it's kind of weird, but it's cool. It's pretty delicious food, to be honest with you. It's pretty well made. Their mac and cheese is really good. I recommend it. That's weird, right? Yeah, it's kind of weird. I will admit. IKEA, fun, not a sponsor. Florida man faces $3.6 million in fines for allegedly posing as his dead father to perform 724 building inspections. That's wild.
Whoa.
New evidence reveals terrifying speed of magnetic field reversals. There was a statewide 911 outage reported in Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's like people weren't able to like call 911 for, I guess, like a whole day, I think it was, maybe more, which kind of sucks. That pretty much could plunge some like states into martial law.
Yeah.
The largest Martian meteorite in the world is heading to auction, could sell for $4 million. A teacher drank alcohol in class and got pupils to sing the Macarena.
Read this one. Go into this one. This is good.
Teacher drank alcohol in class and got pupils to do the Macarena. Tribunal told. Alice Ashton, who taught at Yazgal Bro Carinian near Welshpool, Powys, swigged alcohol from an Evian bottle in class on January 17th last year, a panel heard. The lesson spiraled out of control and turned into a mini rave with loud music, shouting, and dancing. A fitness practice tribunal was told. A fitness to practice tribunal was told. What does that mean, a fitness to practice?
Oh, like whether she's fit to practice as a teacher.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. One 16-year-old told the hearing Ashton also swore, calling the whole class little shits.
Wow, finally.
Yeah, somebody's got to say it.
She's been waiting to say it.
You goddamn little shits. There must have been a goddamn in there. If not, then she had to have said, like, in her head, like, said, like, goddamn. The Education Workforce Council panel heard the lesson took place just 4 months after Ashton had been convicted of drink driving. Man, who the fuck wrote this article?
Ugh, I hate that.
I know, I hate that it had been convicted of drink driving. She was described as smiley and happy before she started to become agitated. Giving evidence in person, a 16-year-old schoolgirl said Ashton drank orange liquid which smelled of alcohol while playing music from her laptop. The student referred to as Pupil H said fellow classmates discussed afterward how odd the teacher's behavior had been. She said Ashton had taught her boring PSE numerous times before and were usually about alcohol and drug awareness, but not on that day. Not on that day. That's funny. The pupil said she had been sitting in the front row of the class and could smell alcohol from the Evian water bottle filled with the orange liquid. She told the hearing the bottle was full at the start of the lesson and was almost empty by the end. Pupil H said she was very, very close to us. There was a slight alcoholic smell. She was very, very lively and quite animated and speaking with her hands. In other lessons, she was more reserved and quiet. Alice Ashton had an Evian bottle with orange juice. I noticed she was regularly taking swigs from the bottle. I love how everybody's just like giving their testimony. I recall Alice Ashton asked the class to make the Macarena. She played music and we're not doing work. The teenager said Ashton kept jumping from her desk but became irritated as the lesson went on. The hearing was told one schoolboy was walking around the classroom annoying people when Ashton told him to leave but not to snitch.
Not to snitch.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Yo, you're going to be sent to the principal's office, but don't
Is
snitch
she a
on
new
me.
teacher? They're not going to tell us this lady as a teacher. How long has she been teaching? Like, did she just get this job, and she's actually a vicious alcoholic, and they just haven't had a chance to realize that yet?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how they said that she's normally pretty like tame and like well mannered. I don't. Maybe she just had something that just like broke her spirit in her like normal life, and this is just like the repercussions of it. She's like, all right, well, fuck it. And she's also like, maybe because of the fact that she like talks about like all this like drinking and positive like PSAs and shit. She's like, in my normal life, I don't do this, and I'm just going to be real now. Maybe she's just being real.
Yeah.
For this lady to stop fronting, it's good that she's deciding to be who she wants to be and to be the person she should be. And that's her real self.
She's a real person, all right.
She's a real piece of work. But, yeah, she sounds...
She's one among many.
She's one among many. It's kind of crazy, though. It is wild that she was like, don't snitch on me. You're getting out of here, but like, don't snitch. Don't you snitch. Yo, I bet you
you snitch on me.
the kid, this is probably what happened is like the kid was like talking during class or like was disrupting the Macarena or whatever that they were doing. I bet you the chick was like, the teacher was like, yo, don't disrupt the class. Like, we're doing important work here. And he's like, yo, this shit ain't important at all. You're drunk as a fucking skunk, and this is all bullshit. And she's like, that's it. You're heading out of this class. You're out of here, boy. You're out of here. And he was just like, yo, fuck you, drunk piece of shit. And then she was just like, that's it. Get out of here. But don't snitch on me.
That's it.
Don't be a snitch.
I've had it up to here.
She points at her bottle, the amount of orange liquid that's still left in. She's like, don't be a snitch. Pupil H said she began to swear at him. She put her middle finger 2 to 3 inches from his face and continued to swear at him. What? That's amazing. That's hilarious. She began to fucking like swear at the kid.
How the hell does this happen?
How the hell does this happen? Dude, these kids got a fucking show.
Yeah, how lucky are these kids?
Like, honestly, I would have loved to have...
Story for the rest of their lives.
This is, yeah, they're going to have this to remember. Like, this is just a heartwarming story they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. And they're going to be like, remember that crazy teacher? And, like, some of them are going to be like, are probably going to excel because of this happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, some of them were probably going along, like, in a really dark and bad path. And we're going to end up like this teacher one day. But they're, like, seeing this teacher so blatantly ruin her entire life and career that they're just probably going to be like, oh, you know what? This ain't that bad. I could be worse. Another student said she got us to dance to the Macarena and she did not care about the lesson anymore. She got some students dancing to the laptop and speakers and it spiraled out of control. Don't you hate that when the Macarena spirals out of control? That's the worst.
Yeah, it needs to calm down.
Ashton did not attend the hearing or respond to the allegations. The panel was told she had previously emailed the EWC to say she was no longer working as a teacher and had moved to England. I bet you that's what this is like. This is an article from like Ireland or something like that, because drink driving doesn't, they don't say that over in America.
I think it's just a typo.
You think so? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like an Irish person saying like, oh, they're drink driving. That makes sense. That wasn't really good Irish, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounded like John Lennon.
Oh, it was Liverpool. They drink driving over there. I guess that was more like it. The panel was told she had previously... Presenting officer Lewis Harrison said Ashton had told an internal school inquiry she did not swear or sing to the class. Well, that's it. She didn't do it.
That's that.
That's that. But Mr. Harrison said CCT footage of the lesson was totally at odds with her denials. He said it is totally untenable to suggest the music is being played as background music. The evidence is clear that Miss Ashton did not remain at the front of the class. She invited the pupils to dance, and it was found proven that she appeared under the influence and/or smelt of alcohol whilst at work. She was struck off the teaching register indefinitely, but may reapply in 2 years. That's crazy. You know what I mean? That she can become a teacher in 2 years? That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Next story is kind of wild. I'm gonna open it up because I feel like we're gonna probably want to read it.
Open it up wide.
Mysterious life form found on ship that docked in Cleveland. So this is about
Tell us about it. Tell us about this ship.
a ship that docked in Cleveland last summer harbored what scientists believe was previously unknown form of life. The revelation occurred at the research vessel Blue Heron, which was monitoring a harmful algal blooms in Lake Erie, began having mechanical issues. The captain, Rual Lee, piloted the boat to Cleveland, where it could be examined in dry dock at Great Lakes Shipyard on the Old River Channel on the Cuyahoga River. After the Blue Heron was lifted out of the water and lowered onto the parking lot, the problem was diagnosed. The propeller shaft bearings needed replacing. But as one mystery was solved, another more enigmatic one emerged. Lee noticed a tar-like substance oozing from the rudder post, a normally hidden component of the ship's steering apparatus that was exposed during maintenance. He had never seen anything like it during the previous dry dock inspections of the ship, a former fishing boat acquired by the University of Minnesota Duluth to conduct research. Curious Lee took a glop of the goo and plopped it in water to see it left a sheen. It didn't. Then he turned a blowtorch on the shiny substance to see if it would burn. Didn't do that either. Baffled, he had experts at the University of Minnesota Duluth investigate. Hey, we work for a science lab, he said. We have people who do things. The way he says that, that's crazy. That's when Doug Ricketts, Marine Superintendent for the Blue Heron, came into the picture. During one of his trips to Cleveland to check on the progress of repairs, he put a half cup of the goo into a sample bag and carted it back to Duluth. Once there, he handed it over to Cody Sheik, an associate professor at the university, and an expert in microbial ecology. Sheik's interest was immediately piqued. The goo looks like something his former graduate school associates at the University of Oklahoma plucked from oil reserves to examine for organisms. As for the substance found on the Blue Heron, he thought maybe there might be something in there hanging out. To learn more, Sheik used chemicals to crack open the cells in the goo and expose their microscopic inner workings. In doing so, he discovered about 20 DNA sequences or genomes and ran them through a worldwide computer database. Most of the sequences matched known genomes found elsewhere in the world, he said, but a few were less identifiable, including one that was a completely novel. It's now known, at least temporarily, as ShipGoo001. This all sounds like bullshit. This is coming from Cleveland.com. This is crazy. ShipGoo001 is believed to be a single-cell organism, but its appearance is not yet evident. It could be a thread-like, spherical, or even twisty, Sheik said. In a broader context, the discovery of the goo demonstrates how life can exist in unique places, including the built environments of a building or a ship, and we probably should be a little more open to sampling random stuff at times, he said. I feel like this whole article just sounds almost like satire. I'm like, I can't tell if this is all real. Like a scientist who's like, yeah, we should all sample random stuff.
We should.
I mean, yeah, but the way they're all saying it, they're like, yeah, we're science guys. We work and do really good science stuff.
Hey, we're science guys.
That's kind of what they're saying. They pretty much said that earlier. They're like, yeah, we work in science and we do stuff. Like what? Basically what they said. Oh man. It's carbon based and derived from stuff floating in the water, he said. That's possible. Bottom line, he doesn't know exactly what he's dealing with, but it appears he has come across a new order of organism, and it deserves more study. So what is this? Is this alien goo? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think it's alien stuff.
You think this is
Personally,
just some weird...
Personally, I don't think it's alien stuff.
No?
No.
Just some weird tar-like shit that was floating in the water?
Yeah.
that some, random like some weird shit just started to form in it.
Yeah.
Scientists merged 3 human brains by thought alone. Cool.
What do they mean by that?
I don't know. Let's see. Here's what you'll learn when you read the story. Brain-to-brain verbal communication in humans was first accomplished in 2014 when brain-computer interfaces helped transmit a message from India to France.
Crazy.
Yeah. Since then, some progress has been made on technology that could make so-called mind reading possible, including a device that would allow at least 3 people to share thoughts. While communication using only thoughts shows promise in the medical field for patients who are unable to speak when it comes to other users, there are still many ethical implications that need to be navigated. Mind reading has long existed in science fiction. The Vulcan mind meld, anyone? And those carnivals where alleged mind readers try to part you from your last $10 bill with a promise that they know exactly what you're thinking. But thanks to some recent scientific developments, it is now no longer the stuff of cyberpunk and magic.
And autistic children.
And autistic children. Back in 2014, 2 words were heard halfway around the world. Those words were ciao and hola. The only people who heard them were 2 subjects, one in India and one in France, both of whom were willing subjects for an experiment that wanted to probe into whether it was possible for one person to find out what another was thinking 5,000 miles away. The non-invasive search merged brain-computer interfaces and computer-brain interfaces. Brain-computer interfaces allowed the brain to control a device or application by analyzing and translating brain signals into digital commands, while computer-brain interface use a computer to influence brain activity. Wireless EEG recorded brain activity through electrodes on the subject's heads. When the subject in India sent the message, the letters of the 2 words were converted to binary code. The code was transferred to another computer before being sent to the subject in France via internet. Transmission of thoughts from one brain to another succeeded because of the computer-brain interface. Used transcranial magnetic stimulation to prepare the receiver by using magnetic fields to boost electrical signals in neurons. The receiver found out then there was a message on the way. This experiment marked the first brain-to-brain verbal communication in humans and opened up a new frontier. We speculate that future research could explore the use of closed mind loops in which information associated to volunteer activity from a brain area or network is captured, and after adequate external processing used to control other brain elements in the same subject. The researchers who ran the experiment said at the time in a study published in PLOS One. How far have we come since then? In 2019, another research team invented BrainNet, a non-invasive system that also uses EEG and transcranial magnetic stimulation, and became the first multi-person brain-to-brain interface meant for problem-solving applications. Can accommodate 3 people at a time, decoding brain signals, the 2 message senders with EEG before transmitting them to the receiver through an internet connection. BrainNet originally demonstrated how 3 people could silently work together to tackle a computer game similar to Tetris. The researchers predicted that the system could eventually be scaled to accommodate larger groups. That's pretty crazy. The mechanism behind direct brain-to-brain communication or neural interface in both humans and animals was elucidated in 2021 when veterinary physiologist Ehsan Hosseini hypothesized that the weak magnetic field in one animal's brain was capable of transmitting information to another. He also suggested that cryptochromes proteins that act as photoreceptors which help regulate circadian rhythm can actually perceive these magnetic fields and convert them to action potentials or ultrafast zaps of voltage across the membrane of a neuron. Other studies even claim that the ability to pick up on weak magnetic field energy may explain telepathy and other paranormal phenomena. More recently, neurotechnology startup Neuroba is exploring ways to integrate human consciousness with not only brain-computer interfaces, but AI and even quantum communication. They're currently trying to develop algorithms that will allow messages to be delivered more accurately. This could be a breakthrough in the medical field, with patients who are otherwise unable to speak still having the ability to communicate by using their brains. Those messages will be analyzed and translated by a computer. That'd be pretty awesome. Beyond medical use, ethical implications for this technology remain unclear. Naroba also mentions that a device like an updated version of BrainNet could revolutionize the workplace by connecting thoughts during meetings and other collaborative efforts.
That's awful.
Yeah,
That's not good.
I think that would not work out. A lot of people would be like, we want to raise, we want to protest, stuff like that.
All the people coming up with this are like, these are all people who are like business people, like pushing for this, and like they're going to get a raise for coming up with these productivity advancements, but they are also not going to be living in the world with this shit when it finally happens. So they're literally screwing over the later generation by making them like mind slaves because they don't have to yet. They can squeeze the money out now.
They're also like, I feel like not realizing that there's downsides to this that will screw themselves over. Like all the people where they're like,
I don't understand how they would not realize that. I don't get
you know
it.
what I mean? Like all the people that are like unhappy with the current workflow and current everything that's happening, they want those people to get hooked up to a computer and to say everything that they're thinking, because everybody's going to be doing that.
Awful. Not good.
There's also the possibility of misusing neural interfacing to invade others' privacy. Ultimately, much of the field still remains unexplored, and a code of ethics still have to establish before it is used regularly in the future. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Insane. These people are
Yeah.
like, how are they going to make that? And just be like, we should probably think about this now that we're.
We should probably think about this now that we're doing this. The ethical implications of it all are definitely, I'm sure, not
They've
unfounded.
never thought about it before.
They've never.
Now that they made all this progress, they're like, all right, we should tell everybody that we should probably slow down.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with AI, isn't it? Like, remember that like group of like.
all the heads of AI are all saying like, now we need to accelerate and hurry up and fix these problems.
Yeah, but remember
The only
all.
way to fix these problems is to face them head on.
Yeah, but remember all those guys, all those heads of AI and like industry scientists who signed that like partition or whatever it was, basically saying that like AI could be like the death of us all, and it was a lot of people that were heavily invested in AI.
I have no idea.
That was a thing. That was like at the beginning of last year or something like that. It was when Will Smith's spaghetti was like a huge meme.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
Oh, so like when it still looked shitty?
Exactly. But like people were still like worried about it.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. So third interstellar object detected entering our solar system. I'm pretty sure this is the one that we've talked about, but kind of crazy.
Did you see that Jeremy Corbell clip I sent you?
No, but is that the one where he's like talking about how they're like gonna plan for a fake invasion? He basically describes Blue Beam. Yeah, I've seen that.
Well, he doesn't even go that far with it. He just says over and over again that like they're gonna lie to you. There's a big lie. The lie is that there's a spacecraft heading. He doesn't say it's about an invasion. He doesn't say that's Project Blue Beam. He just says that, and he says it like again a couple of times.
I mean, if they lie to us about a spacecraft coming to Earth, then that to me is just that's Blue Beam regardless, even if it's just by like even if it's just a method of Blue Beam. That's still like, utilizing it.
Like he wasn't even like buying it to Blue Beam. He wasn't doing that. It was like he does this sometimes. He'll have like inside info, and he does get inside it. But then like he literally won't tell you. But then he'll like start to sneak it around. Like he'll tell you what he can't tell you. He makes it a big deal. So pretty much what he's saying is that he heard that this lie is going to happen. He has inside info that the government's going to try.
Maybe we should look into AV Loeb then, or Avi Loeb, whatever the guy's name is, the one who's talking about all this.
I've heard his name before. And I need to know. I heard his name attached to something else. At least
Me
like
too.
A couple years ago.
Joe Rogan seems to like him a lot, so maybe we should be suspicious of him.
Yeah.
That may be a thing that we should check out. Find out if he's trustworthy or not.
I always found Jeremy Corbell to be a little annoying.
Yeah, me too.
Because like he'd always be sitting next to somebody that I really want to hear from, and he'd be dominating the conversation.
You know what he is? He's like the better Tom DeLonge.
I've literally never heard Tom DeLonge talk outside of singing.
You've never heard him talk about aliens, dude? He goes off and he like...
I know everything, not everything, but I know plenty about how he's involved with it now, but I just still haven't heard him talk about it himself.
It seems like he gets used by like all those like Skunkworks guys and like Raytheon and like heads of like industry guys. It seems like he's being used by them. Yeah, but that's a story for another day. We've got a pilot of Delta Air Flight performs aggressive maneuver to avoid a midair collision with a B-52 bomber. That's crazy. A medical clinic pleads for a stop to unsolicited urine samples. I wonder why they were getting them in the first place. Plane passenger in India caught with 16 live snakes in luggage, including a rhino rat snake. That's literally like snakes on a plane right there. Family sues after funeral home sends son's brains in unmarked leaking box.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's crazy. A French prisoner escapes from Lyon jail by hiding in cellmate's luggage. That's pretty funny. Today is his birthday. Man allegedly stole tour train high on meth and picked up passengers. All right, let's read this one. Guess where this happened?
Florida.
Key West, Florida. A man allegedly celebrated his birthday by stealing a city tour train, picking up multiple passengers while high on meth, according to an arrest report obtained by local outlet WPLG. What'd you say?
That's hilarious.
It is. Officers were dispatched to the Conch Tour train depot on July 4th for a report of a stolen train. Employees told police that they were tracking down the train's GPS system and it was driving around the downtown area. Police arrived and learned that a man later identified as 57-year-old Jonathan Winslow arrived at the depot in a Kia vehicle which was still running and playing music on the radio by the time the officers arrived. That's crazy. That's funny. This dude was totally like manic. Winslow reportedly told an employee that he used to work at the depot and that he wanted a tour of one of the trains. Winslow then allegedly got into one of the trains and drove it off the property, leaving the employee confused, but he assumed that Winslow had permission to take the train. That's funny. Yeah, he probably had permission to take the train. There's nothing wrong with that. Winslow drove the train into the downtown Key West area and picked up 2 random passengers before abandoning the vehicle on the street per the outlet. Police reportedly located Winslow at the southernmost point of the continental USA buoy and noted that he exhibited rapid speech and appeared excited. He claimed that he simply borrowed the train and that he used to work for the company. Furthermore, Winslow allegedly said that today is his birthday, which police confirmed. While being checked into jail, a deputy reportedly found a meth pipe in Winslow's pocket, although he claimed it was a weed pipe. Winslow was charged with burglary, grand theft auto, and possession of drug paraphernalia. What a great birthday this guy had, though.
Yeah, for real.
He really enjoyed himself. He probably always wanted to do that, and he really accomplished.
Could have done so much worse.
You know, I feel like a thing with Florida stories is like the people could have done a lot worse than they do, but they still figure out how to do wacky shit. I think we want to read the next one too. It's I buy crack houses. Investor stands by controversial Cleveland billboards.
I've seen that around. That's just a silly thing, you know. You went pretty extreme with it to the point where it offended some people.
Why? That's just, you know what this is that people don't get is that this is what people wanted. People want rampant capitalism, and this is what's happening. This is just somebody being honest about where where they stand.
That's what I think. It is just them being honest. And it's honestly not that, like, who's it being mean to? Crackheads? I get the thing. I'm not saying I fully agree with it, but I get the thing about, like, you know, being nice to people that are bigger and, like, not fat shaming and doing stuff like that and just making them feel bad. But like crack, like, we're just talking about crack houses, which are gross, dilapidated places.
You know what else too? Like, so this guy is going to alienate a certain audience because if he's saying that he buys this, like, the only people that are going to sell to him are people that are admitting that they're selling their crack house to him.
Yeah.
Unless you're a real self-aware individual about buying a crack house, you're not going to really be offended about it. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be offended about selling their crack house to them because they're going to know that they're selling their crack house to them, and nobody who would be offended by it would sell their crack house to them.
Yeah.
It's really just a win-win situation for everybody all around.
It's totally a win-win.
I support this guy buying crack houses. Somebody's got to do something with these crack houses. An Australian woman is found guilty of murdering her in-laws by toxic mushrooms. I mean, that happens every so often. Boy 8 rescued from Thai drug den after being found living with dogs and only able to bark.
That's awful.
That's crazy. Should we read that one?
No.
AI-generated band already boasts over 500,000 monthly Spotify listeners.
Jesus.
That's the cyberpunk future right there. That's Black Mirror shit.
Yep, good point.
Numerous fossils reveal Jurassic fish killed in same bizarre way. What was the way?
What was the way?
An extinct genus of rayfin fish that lived during the Jurassic period seems to have had quite the penchant for overreaching. A new analysis of fossilized Tharsis fish reveals that the carnivorous marine animals seem to have frequently met their end with large cephalopods known as belemnites lodged quite fatally in their gullets. According to paleontologists Martin Ebert and Martina Eber of Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich in Germany. Tharsis fish found in 152 million year old Sulfan-Platenhike formation in Germany appear in multiple instances to have died attempting to swallow belemnite nearly as long as themselves. A recent review of collection material uncovered several specimens of Tharsis from the late Jurassic Plateauc deposits of the Sulfan archipelago, with belemnites wedged in mouth and gill apparatus, they write in their paper. In all cases, the rostrum beak re-exits through the gill apparatus, whereas the broad phragmocone internal shell of the belemnite is firmly lodged in the mouth opening. Tharsis fish were what are known as microcarnivores, animals that eat very small animals such as larvae and zooplankton. In this case, by using suction to gulp down their food, their fossils are quite common. Belemnites, which resemble squid with long hooded body and multiple arms, lived in open ocean and left far fewer fossils. Interestingly, the belemnite fossils found in the Platenkite basins of Eckenstadt and Solnhofen often consist of an internal shell overgrown in bivalves, suggesting that the belemnite was dead, kept buoyant in the water column by a gas-filled shell colonized by other animals, such as clam-like mollusks feasting on the decaying soft tissue. That's crazy. That's the circle of life, though. Tharsis fish were unlikely to be looking for food amid the hostile conditions on the ocean on the seafloor, nor would the fish have been preying directly on the belemnites, but the researchers believe they know why the dead drifting cephalopods may have posed a choking hazard for the hapless fish. Apparently, these microcarnivore fish were in the habit of sucking remnants of decaying soft tissue or overgrowth, such as algae or bacterial growth, from floating objects. But when a streamlined floating belemnite rose from accidentally sucked into the mouth, they were no longer able to get rid of these deadly objects. So wow. So they found a bunch of fossilized, choked out animals. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Scientists hunt for the one particle that could destroy string theory. Indian police find Russian woman living in a cave with 2 children.
Are we supposed to be concerned about those children?
I don't know. I think they were all like feral, like people that were just like homeless and like exiled or whatever from Russia or something.
It's the shit we ignore in America.
Yeah, exactly.
The shit that's more hidden in America.
Yeah. Moonrock found in African desert fills 1 billion year gap in volcanic record.
Wow.
Yeah. A woman in the Slender Man case is getting released. I heard about that.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember seeing them as like kids, and now they're like really creepy adults. I mean, they were really creepy kids. Now they're just really creepy adults. It was bound to happen, though. Romance scam victim travels 700 kilometers to marry French beauty queen. Wow. Trump puts up AI video of Obama being arrested by the FBI in the Oval Office. That was funny. We kind of talked about that before, but that's just hilarious. Astronomer CEO Andy Byron resigns following Coldplay concert scandal.
Is he still suing Coldplay?
Is he suing Coldplay? Is that the
That's
thing?
what I heard.
I mean, I don't know if the only thing that they would make sense is because Coldplay is capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it go. But it's like, you know, they're kind of capitalizing on it.
Are they?
Yeah, they put Gwyneth Paltrow, the astronomer company, in an ad, and Gwyneth Paltrow is the ex of the Coldplay lead singer or whatever.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy? But then again, he did resign, so maybe that wasn't his decision, but that's crazy. 1,000 people descend on village for UK's largest sex fest, Swingathon. Man murders his fiancée, then frantically searches for ways to correct his mistake, including offering his soul up to internet strangers in exchange for time travel spells.
That's crazy.
This one sounds like the next one to read.
This is what the cyberpunk future is really going to look like. More mystical.
This is just like weird shit. This is like when you're riding your horse along in Red Dead and you stumble upon a cabin and there's been a crazy scene. This is like one of the crazy scenes. It's like a guy with like a bunch of books with spells next to him, next to his murdered wife. And you're just like left there like wondering what the hell happened here. like you say is Arthur.
What in the hell?
And then a bear comes out of nowhere and murders you. All right. A Russian bride-to-be was found dead 5,500 miles from home. Investigators would soon learn Anna Rybkina was unwittingly caught up in a love triangle and that her fiancé frantically researched time travel after her death, writing strangers on WhatsApp. Best friend made a mistake. I want to go back to keep from losing the woman that should be my wife. 48 Hours correspondent Tracy Smith reports on the case in the murder of Anna Rybkina. In 2016, Rybkina was a 26-year-old Moscow native who loved rock music and cats and had a fun sense of humor. She had recently gone through a breakup with her boyfriend of 7 years in search of love. She decided to join some online dating site. She thought she'd found what she was looking for when she met William Hargrove, a 26-year-old Oregonian who happened to have an affinity for all things Russian. There's a few red flags right there. He's Oregonian and he has affinity for all things Russian.
What's the first word?
He's an Oregonian. He's from Oregon.
Oh, I was like, what kind of Russian is that?
Their online relationship quickly took off, and Rybkina decided to fly to the United States to meet her new love interest in person and spend the Christmas holidays with him in Oregon. After a whirlwind 10-day trip, Rybkina returned to Russia with a souvenir, an engagement ring from Hargrove. She made plans to pack up her life in Russia, move to Oregon, and plan a wedding. What Rybkina wasn't planning on was meeting Hargrove's secret girlfriend. What? This took a twist. I thought this was going a different direction. When Rybkina first met Hargrove, he was renting a room from a woman named Michelle Chavez, who was living with her husband in a lovely marriage. Unbeknownst to Rybkina, Hargrove and Chavez were involved in a passionate affair even before she came to the States. Hargrove and Chavez continued their relationship after Hargrove's proposal to Rybkina. And when Rybkina moved to Oregon to marry Hargrove, Chavez was shocked and very angry. Chavez wanted Hargrove only to be with her and pressured him to end his relationship with Rybkina. She issued an ultimatum to choose between her and Rybkina. Within days, Rybkina was dead. The day after Easter 2017, Rybkina's body was found on a remote logging road in Alsea, Oregon. She had been killed by a single shotgun blast to the back of the head, but who pulled the trigger? That's the question the lead detective, Lieutenant Chris Duffett, was trying to answer when he first arrived on the scene. We found several pieces of trash, said Duffett. Fast food bags, cigarette cartons, candy wrappers that were here, and at that point, we don't know what's the evidence and what's not. So the way he puts it in WhatsApp too, at first he goes, my friend did a horrible things. And at first I thought, I was like, oh, maybe he's trying to not make evidence for himself. And then I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, oh, maybe the other person did the killing, Chavez. One of the pieces of trash turned out to be a treasure. Investigators were able to trace the information found on a KFC receipt back to Will Hargrove. In the days after Rybkina's death, Hargrove exhibited some rather peculiar behavior. Well, maybe it was him. Hargrove went on a bizarre internet deep dive. He is researching time travel, said Detective Chris Dale. He saved screenshots of web pages that show you how to do a particular spell to travel back in time. And we also see communication through WhatsApp in which he's trying to ask for help on how to travel back in time. Hargrove said he wanted to correct a horrible mistake that his best friend made. He was so desperate to get this information on time travel that he offered his soul as a reward to strangers on the internet who might be able to help him. In addition to the strange internet encounters, Hargrove was caught on video surveillance at various ATMs withdrawing cash from Rybkina's account. He made a $200 withdrawal from this machine and then engaged in some conversation with some employees at that gas station, where he actually ended up hugging one of them and crying about the fact that his girlfriend Anna Rybkina had left him, said Duffett. Hargrove grew a total of $800 from Rybkina's account with a sudden influx of cash. He made car insurance payments, went shopping at Walmart for Star Wars themed Legos, and bought candy and cigars. Wow, he doesn't sound that broken up. After connecting Hargrove to the crime scene through the KFC receipt, investigators brought Hargrove in for questioning and ultimately charged him with Rybkina's murder.
How autistic is this man?
Yeah, the fact that he threw a receipt with his name on it at the crime scene is just crazy. The trash left near Rybkina's body, Hargrove's strange internet encounters, and theft caught on camera left Hargrove to be formally indicted for his fiance's murder in July 2018. But when Hargrove's trial began in October 2019, the defense would spin an entirely new theory as to what happened to Rybkina. Wow. And this is why it looks like he, in April 2025, a new trial began then in June 2025, Hargrove was reconvicted and resentenced to life in prison with possibility of parole after 25 years. So that's why that was in here. Interesting. That's what happens when you fuck around and find out in a really dark, disturbing way.
Indeed.
Indeed. Colossal Biosciences raises $200 million at 10.2 billion valuation to revive woolly mammoths and other extinct species. Replit CEO apologizes after its AI agent wiped a company's code base in a test run and lied about it. That's funny. Moon could be hit with largest asteroid in 5,000 years. Radioactive wasps found at South Carolina nuclear facility. Woman finds a stranger under her hotel bed.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Russia's Kayachevskoy volcano starts erupting after earthquake. I thought that was kind of interesting timing because of like all this like crazy shit happening around the world. I've been reading a lot about like how like the pole shift and everything, and it seems like that's something that's probably happening, and it could be like triggering a lot of these events around the world. But who knows? Senate confirms former Air Force pilot and UFO witness Matthew Lomere as the new Undersecretary of the Air Force. And this came out literally like July 31st. I thought this was pretty interesting. New lightning mega flash record confirms 515-mile bolt across the U.S. That's a massive bolt of lightning. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's crazy huge. Inventor Julian Brown feared missing after discovering how to turn plastic into gasoline.
Wait, I saw a video that he's back.
Is he back?
I guess he got hacked or something and shut him down.
Oh.
That's what he's saying. Look into it more. Don't trust me. Look into it more.
All right, maybe we'll do like an episode about it or something, and we'll talk about it. This next one is sort of related, I guess you could say. Startup claims its fusion reactor concept can turn cheap mercury into gold. That sounds like a pretty interesting one.
That is interesting.
Energy startup Marathon Fusion claims to have found a scalable way to turn mercury into gold, but they still have much to prove. Keep checking those gold prices. Scientists have more news about the coveted metal. An energy startup claims it has the recipe for modern-day alchemy, turning mercury into gold inside a nuclear fusion reactor. Last week, Marathon...
Yes.
Wouldn't this be awesome?
Yes.
Last week, Marathon Fusion, a San Francisco-based energy startup, submitted blueprint detailing an action plan for synthesizing gold particles via nuclear transmutation, essentially the process of turning one element into another by tweaking its nucleus. The paper, which is yet to undergo peer review, argues that the proposed system would offer a new revenue stream from all the new gold being produced, in addition to other economic and technological benefits. Specifically, proposed method involves introducing mercury-198 into a fusion reactor and bombarding it with neutrons until it transforms into a mercury-197, a much more unstable isotope of mercury. Because of its instability, mercury-197 decays into gold-197, the only stable isotope of gold. This process takes about 64 hours and relies on the steady release of high-energy neutrons popping out of the fusion of the hydrogen isotopes deuterium and tritium. A special blanket configuration, the tokamak, a donut-shaped machine that used magnetic fields to confine plasma, would separate gold production from the fusion plant's energy generation, according to the study authors. As a result, the gold production wouldn't impinge on the plant's primary function to generate nuclear energy. This setup would allow the plant to simultaneously meet the fuel cycle requirements of deuterium and tritium fusion and achieve economically valuable production of gold, the authors wrote in the paper. Assuming this is all feasible, and this remains a big theoretical assumption, reactors using this approach could produce around 11,000 pounds of gold every year per gigawatt of electricity generated. That's 5,000 kilos. According to Marathon Fusion Chief Executive Kyle Schiller and Chief Technology Officer Adam Rakowski, to put this into perspective, around 3,000 metric tons of gold are mined each year. In an interview with the Financial Times, the two representatives stated that this byproduct could double the revenue of the plant. But it's worth noting that the same process would likely result in the production of unstable and potentially radioactive isotopes of gold. As such, Rutkowski admitted the gold would have to be stored for 14 to 18 years before it could be labeled radiation safe. That's wild. Experts who have unofficially reviewed the study claim the proposal presents thought-provoking points that warrant further discussion. On paper, it looks great, and everyone so far that I talked to remains intrigued and excited. Ahmed Diallo, a plasma physicist at the U.S. Department of Energy's National Laboratory at Princeton, who wasn't involved in the study, told the Financial Times. But all that shines is not gold, especially given the fact that, again, the paper was yet to be peer-reviewed and does not offer any empirical demonstrations of the proposed setup. If this company is successful, however, perhaps we'll finally have achieved modern alchemy without giant particle accelerators. Although, in my opinion, effectively achieving alchemy through the use of giant accelerators is still pretty cool. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So, that was the weird shit. This one is the paranormal news. Iranian official, Israel used supernatural spirits to jinn during the Iran war.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
Declassified documents reveal an F-16 collision with an unknown flying object, Fox News reports. Paranormal investigator Dan Rivera dies on Annabelle Haunted Tour with cause of death unclear.
I think we talked about this, but maybe not on here.
About that guy dying?
Yeah.
I guess we can read that real quick. There's more paranormal stuff than I thought there would be, honestly, on here. We usually don't have that much. Connecticut paranormal investigator Dan Rivera has died suddenly at the age of 54 years old while working on the Annabelle Doll nationwide Devils on the Run tour. Passed away suddenly after hauling the allegedly haunted doll Annabelle across the country on her Devils on the Run tour. Rivera died during a tour stop in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which is largely considered one of the most haunted places in the United States. The 54-year-old's death was confirmed in a statement shared by New England Society for Psychic Research, where he worked as the lead investigator. Their Facebook post read, "It's with deep sadness that Tony, Wade, and I share the sudden passing of our close friend and partner, Dan Rivera. We are heartbroken and still processing this loss. Dan truly believed in sharing this experience and educating people on the paranormal." The tribute post continued, "His kindness and passion touched everyone who knew him. Thank you for the support and kind thoughts during this difficult time." According to the reports by TMZ, after wrapping up the day on tour, firefighters and emergency medics rushed to Dan's hotel Sunday evening. The official cause of Dan's death has not been confirmed, but he has been met with loving tributes across the supernatural community. That is pretty crazy. I wonder what happened.
Annabelle killed him.
I know, but I wonder what his official cause of death is going to be. CIA, probably like some kind of heart thing. CIA document NHI psionics accusations of military and high-ranking officials using voodoo warfare, dark arts, the evil eye, calling them Ouija board warriors, voodoo warriors. Growing concern in 1983 of Russia's paranormal warfare. That's pretty crazy. Ethan Hawke on what happens after we die. I don't think we die. I don't think we have an understanding of the divine concept of time. I don't think I have the intelligence or the DNA makeup to answer that question. I mean, who's asking Ethan Hawke about, what happens after we die anyways? They were talking to Stephen Hawking. They got the name wrong.
They meet Tony Hawk. They're like, "Sir, what do you think about...
What do you think about physics?
Sir, have you seen the show The Three-Body Problem?"
The three-body problem, isn't that like a move? I do an ollie and then do a three-body problem off the ramp.
I do a move.
I do a move. I do a three-body problem and then I flip in the air. What's the next question?
What's the next topic?
The leader of the research team that discovered the so-called Baltic Sea anomaly says he will release a white paper with data on new findings which are not related to the Baltic Sea anomaly that will be so impactful that it, quote, "it perhaps shouldn't even be disclosed to humanity."
What?
You heard it here first, folks.
What?
The Baltic Sea anomaly. In a video posted on social media,
what?
Dennis Asperg, one of the leaders of the team responsible for discovering the Baltic Sea anomaly, announced that he will publish an article about a new discovery so ontological that, according to him, it perhaps shouldn't even be revealed to humanity.
What?
In 2011, Swedish explorers Peter Lindberg and Dennis Asperg were searching for treasures in the northern Baltic Sea when their sonar radar detected a 21-meter-long object resembling the Millennium Falcon in the canyon of an underwater mountain in the Gulf of Bothnia. Asperg told Sweden's TV4 at the time. We haven't really talked about the Baltic anomaly also, which is kind of wild because it's pretty.
I thought we have.
I don't think so. I don't think we have. But for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, they described it pretty well in there, but it's like a UFO looking thing that's underwater that looks like it's been petrified or fossilized for like a millennia. It's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. It's cool. It looks.
Wait, so read that back. Did it say it has to do with it or doesn't have to do
It
with
does.
it?
Whatever the thing is, it doesn't have to do with it.
So there's something else that they found. That's crazy.
Yeah, apparently. Asperg told Sweden's TV4 at the time, "We're really surprised and puzzled. We were thinking, what is this and what have we found here? This is not a wreck." At that moment, we were certain there had to be a natural explanation. We wanted to investigate further and decided to keep it all completely secret. We contacted geologists and marine biologists, and when they said they had never seen anything like it, of course, more thoughts were triggered. It could be something truly incredible that we found. Adding to the mystery of the structure, the explorers said there appeared to be a long stair-like formation leading to a dark hole, as well as another unknown object about 200 meters away. This sparked wide speculation, with some suggesting it would be the remains of the lost underwater city of Atlantis, a stray craft from an alien UFO fleet that crashed to the seafloor, some kind of anti-submarine device left over from World War II. That also kind of makes sense in hindsight. However, some scientists stated that the object is not made of natural materials, but instead appears to be constructed from metal. Another strange feature is that electrical equipment and satellite phones reportedly stopped working when near the object. According to the Ocean X diver Stefan Hogerborn, he said anything electrical out there, and the satellite phone as well, stopped working when we were above the object. We moved away about 200 meters. Everything started working again. Located nearly 92 meters below the surface, the Ocean X team continued to explore the object for years after its discovery, including a return to the site to produce a documentary in 2016 and collect samples in an effort to uncover the truth behind the mystery. A new expedition to study the Baltic Sea anomaly is being organized, according to an announcement by Lemina, the Journal of UAP Studies, the digital publication of the Society for UAP Studies. Although SUAPS is not directly leading the expedition, it will play a key supporting role. Its contributions include scientific advisory, oversight for ethical and meteorological, and compliance. In a video posted by Dennis Asperg on his X account, formerly Twitter, the explorer spoke enthusiastically about a new discovery described as absolutely overwhelming. According to him, a scientific paper will be produced based on his findings in collaboration with astronomer Beatriz Villarroel. Villarroel describes herself as an astronomer on the lookout for objects and artifacts from extraterrestrial civilizations. However, the major revelation is not related to the Baltic Sea anomaly, but rather to, which is something entirely different, which Asperg described in the video as, "It's so overwhelming, it's completely insane, it's hard to process. I understand why this information shouldn't be disclosed to humanity. But what could this terrifying revelation be, so impactful that Dennis Asperg believes it perhaps shouldn't even be disclosed to humanity? At this point, we still don't know. No technical or scientific details have been officially released. However, based on public opinion expressed in various comments on social media, particularly on X and in forums dedicated to the subject, it is speculated that the revelation may be related to space, possibly involving non-human technologies or intelligences. This line of speculation gains strength, especially due to the involvement of astronomer Beatriz Villarroel, whose research focuses on the search for objects and artifacts potentially linked to extraterrestrial civilizations. The upcoming white paper, which will be co-authored with Villarroel, raises expectations that the data in question may not only challenge the current scientific paradigm, but also expand the debate about our place in the universe. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
There's two more articles. I think we should read them both because they're pretty interesting. The first one is this: we could get proof of aliens by Christmas after interstellar visitor flies past us. An interstellar visitor spotted drifting into our solar system weeks ago was either a massive dirty snowball or an alien probe. At least this is according to leading ufologists and Harvard theoretical physicists who believe the massive object could have been sent by an otherworldly civilization. The object, known as 31 Atlas, is flying between the orbits of the asteroid belt and Jupiter and will soon loop around the sun. 31 Atlas is still slightly too far away for experts to know for sure what it is, but it's been officially classified as a comet. Mark Christopher Lee, a ufologist and filmmaker, has mixed feelings about 31 Atlas. He told Metro, the ufologist filmmaking side of me, we could get evidence of the actual first contact by Christmas. The interstellar object 31 Atlas is due to pass by Earth just before Xmas. Some have speculated that this may be intentional if it is proven to be some kind of alien probe or mothership. However, the scientists in Lee said that we need more data before speculating what the object could be. These are indeed weird times in the world, and throughout mankind's history, we have always looked into the stars for meaning and guidance. And in 2025, we need it more than ever, Lee added. Objects from outside our star system very rarely drift into our cosmic neighborhood, with 31 Atlas being the third recorded drifter. The first was the asteroid Oumuamua, which was passed close to us in 2017. Harvard astronomers similarly suspected it was an alien spaceship. In 2019, the comet Borisov then paid us a fleeting visit. I remember that one too. Avi Loeb, a Harvard astrophysicist, told Metro that the evidence we have so far about the object is in support of the dark forest hypothesis, the idea that hostile silent aliens lurk in the cosmos.
That's from the three-body problem. Like, that's an idea that they explored in the three-body problem.
No, that makes sense. For objects so far away, scientists use their brightness to figure out how large it is. Citing his recently published paper, Loeb said 31 Atlas brightness implies it's 12 miles wide, too large for a dull asteroid. It might have targeted the inner solar system as expected from alien technology, Loeb said. Loeb, who had speculated that Oumuamua was an alien artifact, said the retrograde orbital plane is within 5 degrees of Earth. The likelihood for that coincidence out of all random orientations is 0.2%, Loeb said. A retrograde orbit means a celestial body such as a moon or a planet zooms around its host in the opposite direction to the host's rotation. Current estimates say that 31 Atlas will be the closest to the sun in late October before zooming off back into the abyss of space. This could be intentional to avoid detailed observations from the Earth-based telescopes when the object is the brightest or when the gadgets are sent to Earth from the hidden vantage point, Loeb said. He added, the near alignment of the retrograde trajectory of 31 Atlas with the ecliptic plane offers various benefits to an extraterrestrial intelligence, since it allows a spacecraft to access Earth with relative impunity. The eclipse of 31 Atlas by the sun at the perihelion for observers at Earth would allow a spacecraft to conduct a clandestine reverse solar rebirth maneuver, an optimal high-thrust strategy for interstellar spacecraft to break and stay bound to the sun. While admitting that his view is fun to explore, regardless of how likely it is, Loeb said, the consequences, should the hypothesis turn out to be correct, could potentially be dire for humanity and would possibly require defensive measures to be undertaken, though these might prove futile. 31 Atlas was first spotted by a NASA-funded telescope in Chile on July 1st, with the Minor Planet Center later receiving some 100 sightings. Experts told Metro that the 7-billion-year-old interstellar interloper likely came from the outskirts of the Milky Way. Current estimates say the object will glide by Earth on October 29th. If Loeb's idea is true, the stock market might crash if fears from an alien invasion will skyrocket. The uncertainty about encountering an invader from a technological advantage would resemble the experience of the Iranian air defense system when the American B-2 bombers arrived at the nuclear sites, he said. Nike Pope, who worked at the Ministry of Defense, or Nike Pope, who worked at the Ministry of Defense UFO hotline in the 90s, said he's intrigued by the possibilities of 31 Atlas. I love how these probability high-impact scenarios, because even if there's only a slight chance of this being an alien probe, the consequences of this, if turned out to be true, would be world-changing, Pope told Metro. An alien probe might well be programmed to look for life, so it could activate when it gets close and make a really close pass. That's why we should watch for any changes in the object's speed or trajectory that can't be explained by natural processes. The Hubble Space Telescope caught its first glimpse of 31 Atlas on Monday, showing the comet's wispy tail called a coma. But the comet was unknowingly photographed by Chilean Vera Rubin in observatory in late June, according to a new paper on RXIV. All right, so yeah, nothing to worry about. All right, and this is the last one we got here. A new study provides evidence that the human brain emits extremely faint light signals that not only pass through the skull but also appear to change in response to mental states. Researchers found that these ultra-weak light emissions could be recorded in complete darkness. So, auras are real?
Question mark?
Exactly. Fascinating new neuroscience study shows the brain emits light through the skull. A new study published in iScience provides evidence that the human brain emits extremely faint light signals that not only pass through the skull but also appear to change in response to mental states. Researchers found that these ultra-weak light emissions could be recorded in complete darkness, and they appeared to shift in response to simple tasks like closing the eyes or listening to sound. The findings suggest that this faint brain light may carry the information about brain activity, possibly opening the door to a new way of studying the brain. Photoencephalography. All living tissues release tiny amounts of light during normal metabolism, known as ultra-weak photon emissions. This happens when excited molecules return to a lower energy state and emit a photon in the process. The light is incredibly faint, about 1,000,000 times weaker than what we can see, and falls within the visible to near infrared range, in contrast to bioluminescence, which involves specific chemical reactions like those used by fireflies. Ultra-weak photon emissions happen constantly in all tissues without special enzymes or glowing compounds. The brain emits more of this faint light than most other organs because of its high energy use and dense concentration of photoactive molecules. These include compounds like flavins, serotonin, and proteins that can absorb and emit light. Photon emission rates also seem to rise during oxidative stress and aging and may reflect changes in cell health or communication. The research team, led by Haley Casey, Narosha Murugan, and colleagues at Algoma University, Tufts University, and Wilfrid Laurier University, wanted to know if these faint light emissions could be used to monitor brain activity. Unlike other imaging methods that require stimulation such as strong magnetic fields or infrared light, measuring UPEs is entirely passive. That means it doesn't introduce anything new to the brain. The researchers proposed that UPEs might offer a new way to monitor brain function safely and without interference, similar to how EEG tracks electrical brainwaves without applying energy. They also wanted to test whether UPEs reflect mental states like resting with eyes closed or responding to sound, and whether these signals match known changes in electrical brain rhythms. The researchers recruited 20 healthy adult participants and measured both UPEs and brain electrical activity, while the participants sat in a dark room. The setup included photo multiplier tubes placed near the occipital and temporal regions of the head where the brain processes visual and auditory information. A third sensor recorded background light. At the same time, participants wore a cap with electroencephalography sensors to record electrical brain rhythms. Participants went through a 10-minute recording session that included 5 conditions. First, they sat with eyes open and then with eyes closed. Next, they listened to a simple repeating auditory stimulus followed by another eyes closed period. Finally, another eyes open period. The aim was to see whether brain UPEs responded to known manipulations of brain activity, particularly the shift in alpha rhythms that occurs when people close their eyes. Photon emissions were recorded in short time intervals and analyzed for variability, frequency, content, and stability over time. The team compared the results to the background signals and examined correlations with electrical brain rhythms recorded at the same time. The researchers found that the light emitted from the brain could be distinguished from background light based on its variability and complexity. Brain UPEs showed greater entropy and more dynamic signal than background recordings. These emissions also showed a distinctive frequency profile below 1 Hz, meaning that the light fluctuated in slow rhythmic patterns roughly once every 1 to 2 seconds. The signature was not present in the background light and was especially pronounced in the occipital region. The researchers also observed that brain UPEs appeared to reach a steady state during each task. Particularly by the end of the 2-minute recording segments, these stable patterns shifted when participants moved between eyes open and eyes closed conditions, suggesting that the emissions reflect changes in the brain's internal state. However, the direction of change was not consistent across all participants, possibly reflecting individual differences or the complexity of the underlying metabolic processes. When researchers compared UPEs to brain electrical rhythms, they found the modest correlations. For instance, alpha rhythms, often associated with relaxed wakefulness and increased during eyes closed states, correlated with photon emissions from the occipital region, but only when the participants' eyes were closed. They also found some associations between UPE variability and temporal lobe rhythms during auditory stimulation. Still, the relationships were not so strong, and many expected correlations did not emerge, highlighting the need for further research. While the findings are promising, the authors... While the findings are promising, the authors caution that this was a preliminary study with several limitations. The sample size was small and the recording equipment only covered a few areas of the head. Sensors also detected a wide range of wavelengths, which may have obscured more specific light patterns. More precise filters or detectors could help uncover wavelength signature related to brain functions. Let's see. The researchers also suggested that expanding the sensor array could improve spatial resolution and help identify the origins of the UPEs within the brain. Because these emissions are tied to metabolic activity, they may come from a variety of cell types, including neurons and glial cells, and from different depths in the brain. Developing methods to localize these signals will be an important next step. The study did not include measurements from other parts of the body, which could help clarify whether similar light emissions occur in non-brain tissues and how they differ, including more participants and exploring variations based on age, sex, or health status may also reveal meaningful patterns. In the future, machine learning and advanced imaging techniques may also allow researchers to decode UPE patterns and use them to detect brain disorders or monitor mental health. Let's see. We view the current results as a proof of concept demonstration that patterns of human-derived UPE signals can be discriminated from background light signals in darkened settings despite very low relative signal intensity, the researchers wrote. Photoencephalography would be maximally non-invasive with high temporal resolution like EEG or MEG. However, the measurement of UPEs would be linked to oxidative metabolism, with several clinical applications described elsewhere. Future studies may find success in using select filters and amplifiers to sieve and enhance UPE signal features from healthy and diseased brains. The study, exploring ultra-weak photon emissions as optical markers of brain activity, was authored by Haley Casey, Isabella Di Berdino and Matteo Bonzino, Nicholas Rollet, and Nerosha J. Murugan. Interesting. So auras could be real. That's what we've learned in July.